Hey everybody. If I look a little you know, frazzled and afraid, it is because I am. Um yeah, when it rains, it pours in my life. And as a therapist myself, I understand the need for therapists to be like, the word always is like, don't say that. Don't say always. It's not always. There's at least one incident where this did not happen. So, of course, me being me, I was like, well, I'm going to make a list. Going to make a list of every time when it rains, it pours. Every time I get excited about something, started to feel good about something, that rug is going to get ripped out from underneath me. So I started to make a list of it because I was like, you know what? Maybe I am just short-sighted, got blinders on. I'm only seeing the bad stuff right now. Okay, fine. It's like I got a little bit of a filter on. That damn list covered an entire fucking notebook. Like after a while, I just stopped because I was like, "This is just actually sad." Like, so I just stopped, and I was like, "You know what? Fuck the list. We're gonna hope and pray for better days." um, and yeah, I think that the light has left me long ago. I think that no one is listening to my prayer. You know what? See, even the thing is, I remember like watching the most recent Nosferatu and being like, see, when I do that, no, the demons don't even come, because they're like, bad vibes on that one. We don't go there. Like, like we don't go to that house. Don't, like it's maybe like kind of an initiation for like the new demons, maybe. Like, like, let's send him. He'll be begging. He'll be begging to come back to hell. After being there for like 10 seconds. But yeah, I'm exhausted. I am exceptionally overworked right now. My caseload is I actually don't even want to talk about it. You can see the dark bags in my eyes and just everything. And yeah, it's just I don't know, man. I got a bit of the blues. Let's just say that. So it's time to break out some greasy classics with a little Jess Franco. Not to be confused with Dave Franco, as I have done recently. And not really confused him. I was just like totally misspeaking about thinking about it because I got my boy Jess on the brain. And I was talking to some coworkers about the movie together. Um and they were kind of like looking at me a little funny the whole time that I was like mentioning the actors' names. And I thought like maybe they want me to say the characters' names. I didn't really remember what they are. So as I was saying his name, it was just like they're kind of looking at me weird. Now I'm hoping to like dear fucking Christ that I didn't Google who Jess Franco was. Because I mean, this field is littered with squares. So like, I mean, anything like I remember like they think Quentin Tarantino is like, oh, you shouldn't be watching that because, like, that can be so psychically harmful. um, that is like a bridge way too far for them. So something like Jess Franco would rip them apart. And for their own sake and mine, I really hope they don't Google who the fuck Jess Franco is now. But afterwards, I was like texting with this friend and I was like, yeah, dude, it's like super weird. That my coworkers, they don't know who Jess Franco is. And I mean, that's super weird because he was just in the movie we were talking about. And my friend was like, yeah, I mean, no shit, they don't know. I barely know who he is. But what movie? Like, with like, the eyes emojis and the eye emojis. And I was like, and he was like, like what movie eye emojis? And then it was like, like did they make like an AI hologram of Jess Franco? Like, and I was like, what? Why would he have to be AI? Like that makes no sense. And it was like, yeah, Katie, he's dead. He's been dead for a very long time. And I was like, oh my God. What? That's so sad. Like, how have I not heard about this? He was so young. Poor Allison Brie. And then the confusion became clear after he like asked the clarifying question of like, wait, what movie are you referring to? And it was like, yes, the whole Abbott and Costello ghost story. Like, but Katie, he's always been dead. It came to an end. Um, But I will say, fun fact though, if Allison Brie were to be married to a dead man, we would have something in common because I am also posthumously married to Klaus Kinski. So, you know, we could have been ghost sisters in that sense. Um, but to be real though, because you know that I like to keep things on the up and up here with you guys, it's not going so great between me and Klaus. He ghosted me. Oh, Klaus, if you're listening, I think he hated that joke. I think he's like even moving even further away from me now. He's like, yeah, no, the vibes are too bad even for me. Um, but my type 5 aside, Jess Franco is not Dave Franco. But I am thinking about starting the rumor that he is his father. So for all of you watching, like, help me get that going. Maybe. It could be fun. Um and all my lovers, to get down to brass tacks, now to get down to biz. To all my lovers, yet fully committed to abject perversion, welcome to Jess Franco. I remember, like, not too long ago, I had a coworker over. I don't want to get into why. It's just gonna make me more upset. Um, but it was something involving work, bad situation. But so I had this coworker that came over, and he was like looking through my movies, as most people do. I have like bookshelves full of books and movies and things like that. So people like to look through. I used to have a lot more. Let's not get into the story why I don't anymore. We want to keep it so I'm not getting upset, here. And I'm already a little bit excitable. I haven't been sleeping well, haven't been eating, except these like mango habanero chips, which are really good, but really, really, really spicy. Love spicy shit though, so it's really good, but it burns. It burns pretty bad. I probably have third-degree burns in my mouth. It feels like I'm getting blisters, but I love it. I love it. It tastes so good. But because of that, you hit this weird like euphoria thing that happens. It's like I think it's like your body thinks you're dying, and so it like starts releasing more like DMT. That's the chemical compound that's found in every organ. Why am I going into this? Like, but the DMT is kind of interesting because people take it as a drug, but it is actually in every biological, really carbon based biological beings, and it's a chemical that your body releases when you die. So it's that's why people hallucinate and they see things and stuff like that. But it's this wave of euphoria, so it's kind of like it's a nice little biological thing that was built into our systems that when you're dying, it sends you out, you know on a high note. Maybe so it's not so scary, but the drug sounds extremely scary, so you know whatever. But anyway, a coworker was at my house looking through my movies, and he starts looking at some Jane Rollins and sees some Jess Francos, and he's like, "Well, what are these? Huh? What are these pornos?" And I was kind of like, "You know what? Kind of, yeah, kind of. The best way I can explain it to you is kind of." Kind of deranged pornos with fun plots. Because I don't find Jess Franco movies sexy. I find them very absurd. I honestly, I think he did too. Don't get me wrong on this, okay? He loved the sight of a naked woman and a good zoom on a full bush. But I guess for me, just like most movies that have like graphic sex, I don't know. I don't find him sexy. Look, I love him. In this video, I'm talking about him. And I feel like sex is a part of life, and I'm glad that we have our perverts. So the actor said it with like a weird accent. I'm glad we have our perverts who bring it front and center for us. God bless them. I appreciate it. Even if it does nothing for me, I like watching it. And I respect a great pervert. Here's the thing. Now you're really gonna get into some Katieisms here, but this is actually stolen from a belief of a long ago friend, but I hold it very profoundly because I do believe this is very true. I think that this is a rule in life. I think you have to be a pervert to make great art. I really do. Like, think about your favorite artist. Like, think about someone you really respect. Newsflash, they are sexually demented. Okay? I'm telling you, just start thinking about it, being like, yeah, I love this guy. Oh, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, certified pervert. Um, and it's great. It's like I love him for it. And honestly, it's like to be real, I love to keep things on the up and up with you guys. I can't respect a man who isn't. So it's just kind of one of those things. The more extreme, the better. In certain situations, it's got to be fun. It can't be like, I love, you know, I don't know, shoving rusty nails into my eyes and then I love the sensation of getting a tetanus shot up my piss hole or something like that. That's like, I mean, I would love to hear about it. I'd love to walk you through something like that and be like, I have a lot of questions that this is of interest to me. um, don't want to partake in it though, and don't want to do it to you. I'm freaked myself out. I need to get off this topic because now see, I'm in a very excitable energy tonight. It's not so there. But perverts love 'em. Bottom line, perverts love 'em. What I find most interesting about Jess Franco though is that he actually has many different names. You'll watch his films, not only do his films have many different names, but he has many different names. So sometimes you're watching a movie and you're like, man, this is like a Jess Franco, and then you're just like, oh, it is a Jess Franco movie, but it's a completely different name. I'm gonna tell you the interesting story behind it, which I'm gonna kind of get a little bit whatever on the offhand history that I know. I'm to try not to get too boring because sometimes I get bogged down in this shit. But I'm no historian, so maybe somebody would look at that and be like, "That's a bullshit representation of the Spanish Franco regime." Whatever. Okay, but primarily he did this because he was a Spanish director who was a working filmmaker during authoritarian rule. Of course, during this time, he was crafting his smut under the boot of the Franco regime, which no relation, I hope, just a coincidental tale of two Francos. So Francisco Franco, the one we don't like, he rose to power with, as most authoritarians do, with right-wing populism, and then introduced like more technocratic rule. But like I said, we're not here for a history lesson. And this just off the top of my head, so people, whatever, okay? If you're just like a Francophile, ha ha ha, and not the good one, the Francisco one, don't come for me, okay? I don't want to hear about it, all right? And obviously, you're just like a fascist. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear it, okay? I do want to hear from the Francophile who like not who love French and French culture, but the Francophile like who love Jess Franco. I do want to hear from you. Anyway. All you really need to know when it comes to this and Jess Franco is that he was operating under a very repressive governmental system. Where the two Francos very radically differ is that one instated national Catholicism and the other was Jess Franco. Some may consider him a heretic. I like to consider him a saint of the three D's: deviancy, debasement, and depravity. The Holy Trinity. I don't know why I did that, but and I wasn't even holding her three fingers, but the Holy Trinity. That we should all be, lighting our candles and I always say like pray to your rosary, but I think like you hold it. They're like these weird things that kind of look like anal beads, and then you just like hold it and pray. I don't know. You don't pray to it. I think you use it to pray, but it's almost like a fidget toy. Bead fidget toy. See, I'm too much into the Jess Franco shit, like people are probably like, oh my god, heresy, this dumb bitch. Oh well. It's like no one gives enough of a fuck about me to cancel me. So it's like, go ahead, cancel me. I'm already just kind of flying under the radar anyway. um, but this is So frequently he had to make films outside of Spain due to this very nature, and then obviously then marketing it had to be different names, blah blah blah. And he was exceptionally prolific. Some say he had close to 200 films. However, this does get a bit dubious because he had several films, like I mentioned before, with just different titles. So it's like those shouldn't really be counted as separate films. Sometimes though, he made multiple movies at the same time just to pull one over on the producers and the investors. He was an industrious hedonist, I will say. He's certainly got the most bang for his buck. um, and he's most known for his lingering shots of naked women squirming around on their beds. Many featuring his lady love, yeah, his second and last wife, who was admittedly an exhibitionist. Um, which I think is just really sweet. It like makes me believe in soulmates, like after I heard that I was like, oh wow, oh they found each other. Like, ah, that is a soulmate, I really envy that love. Because it's always been a dream of mine, like being romanced by an aging director, crazed to the point of obsession, traveling around the world to different castles by the sea, to project your sleaze through the annals of exploitation history. What a dream, honestly. It really is, actually. I think about that like all the time. Like when I haven't been able to sleep, I've been like about that. Like, oh, if I can't actually dream, I'll just dream while I'm awake. I think they call that hallucinations. So this is like bordering a little bit on like the euphoria is bordering a little bit on like psychosis at this point. But it's super fun. I understand my clients a lot more in this aspect now where I was like, you know what? It isn't always so morose. Sometimes it can be a pretty hell of a good time. And then you just start rambling and talking about Jess Franco. But let's actually get into this fucking thing. And let's celebrate degeneracy, sadism, and above all else, brutal murder with How to Seduce a Virgin that came out in 1973. With Countess Perverse that came out in 1974. Now, these years are kind of an estimate because these both go by tons of other titles and also different release years because of the titles. So I don't want to be here all night and start listing off all of their titles. I've rambled enough already. So just to be concise, we're going to use the titles of DVDs I already have. um, but How to Seduce a Virgin is a tale, as the title suggests, but also one of ulterior motives and subterfuge, supposedly taken from the writings of the Marquis de Sade, as many of his works are. He's even credited as a writer, which is like really thoughtful to the de Sade estate, I think. It's like it should really bring them a sense of pride to the legacy. Um, but I just started, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. Anyway, plot wise, we got this rich sadist who's returning home after a pretty lengthy psychiatric hospital stay after she castrated her former lover. Now, the psychiatrist is like easily snowed and thinks she's like shown great promise and you're cured, but as soon as her feet touch that fucking estate, she is so fucking back. Okay, like it's like bam, it flips a switch. It's like I snowed that fucking idiot. Back to castration. And she picks up right where she left off with her sicko husband, Once again, it's just a little bit like it's a little bit sweet because it's like, wow, you know what? Like, how deranged must I be that I can't find anybody, but these people can. But it gives you hope. It really does. So if nothing else, Jess Franco and his films, just hopelessly romantic. But she has this really bizarre and macabre museum in her basement turned dungeon where her female victims are all like frozen in time and torture. It's like a horrifying wax museum, and it's like one of the coolest features of the film. Like when I watched this, I was like kind of like, damn, that's actually like fucking awesome. Like, that's really cool. I've never fucking seen anything like that. Um, and after she goes down there and she's like, surveying and admiring her collection, making sure that, of course, that her sicko husband has properly, cared for her curations. She's like, let's get back out there. What the fuck are we waiting for? Let's fucking do it. But her husband's like, oh, wait, you crazy bitch? I got the prize of all prizes, okay? I've been spying on this virgin girl next door, peeping through her window. Most of the time, she's like writhing around on her bed, and it's like, it's a little weird. It's like she might have like some sort of form of sexual epilepsy. I'm not sure what's really going on there, but it's like kind of a sight, and you should really see it. But I was also thinking, like, maybe instead of our usual prostitutes, how about we take some virgin blood this time? Really spice things up. Like some mango habanero chips, man. How's that for a welcome home gift? Don't say, Sicko Hubs never did anything for you. And she's like, "Oh, fuck yeah. Hell yeah. I'm already getting naked. Get the get our fancy binocs out, summon our mentally disabled sex girl so she can watch us watching the fuck out of this virgin epileptic. What are we doing? Let's get down to it." So they concoct this whole plan. And they're like, we're going to catch her parents out on the street in front of their house, like the most suspicious swingers on the fucking planet. So we can get the parents out of the house. Then she can come over and party or like do like, no, babysitting things, girl sleepover things, whatever fucking shit we come up with. I don't know, whatever sounds the least sketchy, we'll say that. And then, she can come over for that. Um, and they do all of this and act almost exactly as I'm acting now. So very highly suspicious people. And then upon the first meeting on the street with these people, so it's like, yeah, we live there, but it's like, you're meeting them on the street. Do you really know they live there? And honestly, they're acting extremely weird. But the parents are like, oh my God, like perf. Like we actually kind of fucking hate our daughter. Like honestly, like sometimes we wish she was dead. Like parenting is a very complicated journey. But you guys seem so untrustworthy. We would love to lend you our virgin daughter, which to keep this between you and I, we suspect has a lot of horror fantasies. Anyway, of course, have fun. This is one of my favorites, honestly, of his. It's like surreal. What's the word I'm looking for? Surrealistically, is that a word? But surrealistically funny, torturously fun, and absolutely absurd. And there's a great twist that would put Shyamalan in the hospital. I'm telling you right now. Like somebody needs to go over there and be on suicide watch if you ever watch this movie, because it's like he's just like his heart's gonna go. It's great. I love this one. Cannot recommend it enough. And then we got Countess Perverse, which is another favorite of mine. That's why I picked these two, which combines the elements of cannibalism and hunting humans for sport. I think even that's like on the tagline here. Let's see. Hunting humans was her favorite game. Yeah. And it was. It really, really was. It's like this erotic, dangerous game, likely, a precursor to something like Hostel. And so, we got the we got the countess of this estate, and, they welcome young women to their secluded hunting grounds under the illusion that they're just going to have some libertine sex. And of course, young virgins line up the block for this sort of thing, as we all know. Like, did you say debauched sexual activities with some creepy couple on some random island that can only be accessed by boat? Well, that's exactly what I've been saving my hymen for. Yes, yes, a million times yes. Spring break. Like, um, that's what makes it amazing. So after like this dinner of spoils, they soon kind of admit like, you like the food? Pretty good, huh? Well, this meal was the flesh of our last conquest. And Franco's Lady Love, who is a star of this movie, is like, "Ah, you guys are so wild." Like, we're still game for the debased sex acts, though, right? Like, let's get back to, we're on business here, okay? So we get some like extended sex and sex adjacent activities, a lot of squirming, a lot of close-ups of Bush, not the president's, before the hunt. Now, this is where I was like, okay, I would maybe go to this island because, and I'll tell you why. Like, not to fuck these losers, but to test my physical prowess. Now, this is something that I think about a lot, probably at least every day. I mean, you know what I'm going to be. I got to keep it on the up and up with you guys. I think about it every day. I really do. It's like a constant thought in my mind, that I don't think I could resist the temptation to be hunted. It's like just for the challenge, It's like it just sounds so thrilling. It's like it's always been a little bit of a fantasy of mine because I feel like I could subvert the dynamic of hunted and become hunter. And this would also give you the added bonus that like morality would no longer be a factor since they were hunting me first. So it's like I could get hunted and be like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Not only did I get out of it, I turned it around on them, hunted some humans of my own. But remember, I'm not gonna just do that. It's like they were hunting me first, so they drew first blood. All right, that's all you need to say. Um, but and you know what? And the thing is too that I do really respect. The Countess does fight fair. She's like do that respect. Because she fights naked with a bow and arrow. And of course, like all the women are naked. But it's like, you know what? She is armed with a bow and arrow, but still it's like it's not a gun. I mean, they could really go out there like those trophy hunters and shit, and they don't. They're really in it for the hunt. So you do have to kind of respect that. And I feel like that would exceptionally make me feel like a champion to like turn that Amazon woman shit right back on. I think it would be just like a much more visceral experience, like in touch with the animals that we've evolved from, the primitive man we once were with his strategy and cunning. And I would, of course, then become the new countess. But instead of continuing the hunt or random sex with anonymous strangers, I would fill the island with pugs and pigs. I would. And I would, you know what I would do though? I would put the former count and countess's like heads on a stake, just like on the shore, just to keep any like curious passersby away from the pig and pug island. It's like this is like my place now, and I like to walk around naked and stuff. So it's like I don't need your vibes here. Like, please. So keep the heads out, give them a little bit of a warning. Like, yeah, I still got the bow and arrow. So if you're still gonna come on the island after that, I feel like that was sufficient warning enough to keep you away. And I'm not gonna hesitate to, maybe like I got a taste for the hunt now, and I'm a little bit, maybe. But oh, life could be so sweet on Pug and Pig Island. The score in this one is fucking top notch, as well as the landscapes in the architecture. Now, this is something that I always appreciate about his films. Just because he worked cheaply does not mean that he cut out the craftsmanship in the outfits, especially the men's, because mostly the women are all naked. But the men's outfits, I mean, I've some of their clothes and like a lot of his movies, not just even just exclusively to these two, but in most of his filmography, which is like I've only really scratched the surface as much as I, like watching Jess Franco movies is like, how do you watch them? It's like, you know what? Now I feel like it's a challenge. I got to get to it. I got to get him to the wall. Like I'm just, the bags are going to be horrible under my eyes. It's going to walk him to work as a Franco zombie. Like I watched all of them. I did it. There's no prize at the end of that other than your insanity. But the men's outfits, I think like some of their clothes were like made of draperies that he like ripped from other locations or like pieces of shag carpet, you know, um, torn up to make a vest or like, your grandmother's kitchen table doily, like it's like these men are fully clothed fancy boys. Honestly, the fashion for the men more flamboyant than the fucking. And I will say this because I will wrap this up for you. I've always wanted my tits to be memorialized on screen by our Euro sleaze director. Oh, how perfect they would look upon my death. Instead of a mortician, I would ban him from the mortuary and import a Euro trash pervert to perfect my large, beautiful naturals. And of course, would invite all of my former partners to gaze upon them one last time until they degrade into a skeleton. Then use my skeleton as a cute Halloween decoration so I could celebrate my favorite day with all my loved ones forever, hopefully adorned with a few gnaw marks from a generation of pugs. As you get older, these are the things that you start to think about. Legacy, the degradation of the human form, the hunt, cannibalism, torture, murder, castrations, of course, virginal blood, cob museums, and lecherous indecency. Bless Jess Franco for giving all of this and more in one vast filmography. Be well, everyone, and get to fucking.